I was one of those people who was people pleasing, overworking, overserving, overcompensating, just overdoing it. I was wearing it so well, no one knew it. And then one day I remember a colleague saying to me, well, you wouldn't understand because your life is perfect. And when she said that, something broke inside of me.
Hey, friend. Oh my goodness. I've been looking forward to catching up with you all week long. And I am excited about just this moment in space that we get to share together. I cannot wait for there's so much I need to tell you. And one thing I want to really hear your heart on is how you're feeling in this season. There is a lot going on and each of us is carrying that differently. And so I thought today would be a great time to just hold space for you and I to both just be present. And that being said, there is a friend I want to introduce you to who I believe will allow us both to be able to be nourished in this conversation. And so without further ado, Melanie, just sunshine embodied. That's how I would describe you. But formally, tell us who you are.
First of all, let me just say thank you for this invitation to be here. Who am I? I am mom. I am auntie. I am honey. That's what my grandloves call me. And essentially, what I do is centered around all things love, freedom, and joy. I typically work with women in leadership to partner with them into practicing how to love, lead, live, and lead with authority and alignment.
I love that.
Yes.
So how did you find your way to this work? Because it's very unique. It's very beautiful meshing together. How did you find your way to this work?
I believe this work found its way to me in many ways. Like my clients affectionately call me the soul whisperer. And in many ways, that's a part of my chemical makeup. It's kind of how I came to this work. And it's because it's how I came into this world. Like so much of who I am is also really deeply infused into the work I do. So much so that it's sometimes hard to separate the two, which can both be rewarding and challenging, right?
I love that you said like the work found you, because oftentimes a question that, I spend pondering with my community is, how do you find purpose? How do people figure out what they're on this earth to do? And tell me more about how you would answer that question. Like, I know you said that it found you, but what did that look like for you?
So many times, like really when I just thought about saying love, live, and lead with authenticity and in alignment, I remembered growing up feeling vastly different from my siblings, different from my peers, different from my community. And there were parts of me that wanted to fit in. And then yet there was also this part of me that was rebelling inside because that wasn't really fitting in, wasn't really in alignment with who I was. And so I went through this whole journey of wanting to blend in when I really wanted at the core was to be accepted as I was. And discovering that was a series of life events that led me to a point of realizing that it's not really about me fitting in. I don't want to be like someone else. I am like the shape of me. And I was formed in a very unique way. And God didn't make a mistake when He made me. So how can I accept who I am? Then others will too.
It sounds like you're saying that self-acceptance is a key part of like discovering purpose. How do you find the strength or confidence to be able to accept yourself?
It's a daily practice. It's a daily practice in terms of really recognizing that all parts of me are welcome in this space. In the parts that I love, the parts that I'm afraid of, the parts of me that wants to hide out, right? And the parts of me that just wants to just come fully alive and be present. And so being able to have compassion and empathy for each part of me without making her wrong. Without making her wrong for existing, without making her wrong for feeling. without making her wrong for being.
I love that. And it's like, it's so necessary. Oftentimes we look external for that validation, but being able to give yourself and gift yourself what you're looking for externally, internally, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
And so tell me more about the work. And so what does that look like, helping folks to be able to lead from a place of freedom and love? Like, what does that look like?
It shows up in many ways. And one is I talked about accepting, we just talked about self-acceptance, but it's also about accepting others and accepting life as it shows up for us, right? Instead of trying to make it other than what it is. You asked earlier what brought me to this work, and I said my work found me. And one of the ways it found me was through burnout. Yeah, I was one of those people who was people pleasing.
Yeah.
I was overing in so many areas of my life, overworking, overserving, overcompensating, overdoing it, over-evaluating, over-engineering, like so many different things. And I was wearing this mask of, I am okay, and I can be all things to all people, and I don't want to disappoint anyone. I never want anyone to feel like if they need me, I wasn't there for them. Right? There were so many things that I was doing. I was working to accommodate clients to make sure they made events for their child. Meanwhile, I was missing events that were important in my child's life. My daughter was getting my leftovers.
Yeah.
And I was wearing it so well, no one knew it. And then one day I remember a colleague saying to me, well, you wouldn't understand because your life is perfect. You have a supportive family. You have, things are good for you. And when she said that, something broke inside of me. And so she gave me a gift that day because it helped me to really take ownership over who I was representing myself to be versus who I was. And so, yes, that was true. I did have a supportive family. I had a supportive community. But the truth is, I needed them and they didn't even know it. No one knew about how wet my pillows were at night because I was crying myself to sleep. No one knew that. And so she gave me a gift because she caused me to rise up and own what I was really experiencing and to recognize that I was living off of vapors and my daughter was getting my leftovers. And I had to come to a place where I said, she deserves more. My clients deserve more. And I deserved more.
So you hit on something very powerful. Sometimes we show up in life as our representative, whether it is external expectations of what we think people want from us, or even just our own fear of really if I acknowledge how tired I am, will this cause me to fall apart? Because the tiredness is so heavy, versus the reality of what we're really living in. And so how did you get to the point where you were able to find the courage to say, I need help?
Yeah, that was a part of one of the pivotal moments where I needed to really accept that I needed help. And I also needed to look at where I was placing my trust, right? And looking at what is it that I desire and what actions and behaviors am I taking that's moving towards the desires versus which ones where am I operating out of fear, not desire, in that place of what I don't want, right? I didn't want anyone to not need me, yet I needed myself, yet my daughter needed me. And it was all based on all these external factors, right? And so I made a decision. I desired to spend more time with my daughter and be available to my clients. So I had to trust and really shift into my faith frequency and say, my clients are not my source. This job is not my source, right? I serve someone higher, and that's who will provide for me. I don't need to speak what my needs are. I need to trust that my needs will be met. And so I made some decisions. I changed my work schedule, right? And with being detached from who was going to shift with me, but really stepping into trust so that I could be more available for my daughter. And I don't mean just being there physically. I mean being there where my presence was felt, where I was there emotionally as well. And so I cut back my hours, or I shifted hours on certain days. I worked early, started earlier and ended earlier. All of those different things so that I could be actually living in the space that I desired to be with.
Ooh, I feel like you are giving us the blueprint for burnout recovery, and I think we might be missing it because it's so good. And so let me ask a question to help us to be able to identify if we are, need this. So, bird's eye view. You've worked with so many clients, helping them to be able to get out of the weeds of living based off of their fears versus their desires. What are some of the common things that you see play out where people are actually living based off their fear and not what they really desire? What does that look like?
One is the way we show up I mentioned people pleasing, right? And so if I'm people pleasing, if I'm in my pleaser and not in discernment, then I'm doing it based on this person being happy with me, happy with my performance, happy with my response, happy with whatever this engagement is that we have, this unconscious agreement that we've said yes to, right? So there's that. Controlling, that wanting to be, feeling like we're in control of something. So let's just say, for example, let's say a family member. Sometimes we are guiding our children. Like I realized I was raising my daughter based on fear of what I didn't want her to experience. But in the back of my mind, I knew what I desired for her. I knew what I desired for her to experience. So instead of focusing on the desire, I would create boundaries and rules, trying to control what she had access to, so that because I believed that if I had my hands on it, I could prevent her from getting hurt, experiencing disappointment, all of these other things. And the truth is it's not real.
Yeah.
I am not in control of that. People I love, including my children, will experience disappointment. They will make mistakes. They will fall, and we get to be there to pick them up. But when we're trying to make sure they don't fall, don't hurt, we're operating out of what we don't want them to experience. Whereas we make space for, if I want her to be resourceful and be empowered, then I cannot set it up for her to be codependent on me. Because then she's not going to feel confident. She's not going to feel empowered. If all of these different things. So I need to make space for her to learn from her own choices. And there. When someone asks you, even if it's a colleague, a friend, when they say, well, what do you think I should do? Toss it back to them. Well, what do you think? Give them a moment, because we come here creative, resourceful, and whole. And if we make space for the resourcefulness to step in, we are then empowering them, not creating codependency. And guess what we get to have? Our life back. We're not trying to control it anymore. We're making space for them to find their own way and being there to support it.
I need to sit with that one. We come here creative, resourceful, and whole. And if we really believed that, how would we make decisions? How would we show up? Wow.
Yeah, it's learning to trust our own inner wisdom, right? Our bodies is a powerful communicator, and it gives us clues all the time, and we ignore them quite often. And so learning to be able to tune in and choosing to practice self-trust. And I say practice. We don't have to try to master it, but if we just practice in each moment, to tune into what's present within us and trust our own power to choose, we will find that we are so much more resourceful, so wise, more talented, more gifted, more powerful than we often give ourselves credit for. And I don't mean saying it, I mean believing it.
Yeah. How do we know when we believe it?
When you feel that sense of peace or freedom or strength or whatever however you experience that within you, right? So for example, we can say things that's really not that's not congruent with what we believe. So if we say things like we've heard that words have power, right? And we can speak things into existence and all of that. So if we say, I manifest money, like money comes to me with grace and ease, all of these things like that. I effortlessly attract money. And then at the same time, your body is like, well, how am I going to make my mortgage payment this month? How am I going to pay the kids' tuition? It's what's happening in here and what's coming out of our mouth is not the same. And if we don't believe it, then we're not going to actually attract what we speak. We're going to attract the energy we give out. And we know the difference in our body. If something in you still feels tight, if there's no, in the posture of that doesn't feel like we believe it, then we don't necessarily stand in the truth of that.
Okay, so I know my friends, and so they are in a space where they want to believe in what they want. I don't want to use the word believe because we just talked about the word believe. So let me figure out how to say this without saying belief twice. So let's say that they're in a space where they are beginning to get exposed to more. And so we know how powerful a seed is. And so the seed has been planted that their current reality doesn't have to be the totality of their story. And now they're trying to build that belief muscle. Practically, how does one do that?
Yeah, we get to check in with ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Like what we just said. So you were looking for another word, and the word that dropped in for me was trust. How do we trust it?
Yeah.
Like, do we really trust what we just said?
Yeah.
Right? I was listening to, right before we got on, I Love the Way You Glow, Girl. Glow, right? And in that moment, I did believe that I love the way I glowed. And when I looked in the mirror, I saw nothing but glowing, and I could feel the illumination coming through my pores, right? But on other days when I look in the mirror, and I'm saying, ooh, girl, you look tired. Oh, we need to set. It will be hard for me to say, I love the way you glow, when all I'm doing is looking for all the things that's wrong. And so when we believe that we are stepping into something bigger and we really believe it, then we start showing up as if God sent us to that. We walk into the room like we know we were sent there, like we know we belong there, and our posture looks different. And I don't mean that fake posture where we are strutting, but where you tap into it, something shifts biologically with our cortisol levels. Even when we shift our posture, it multiplies, and there's science to prove that. And you go in expecting to be embraced and accepted. The way you enter a room, and then people do respond to that. And then you begin to stand in it, and you let that really soak into the fibers of your being. Like, haven't you had a moment where you felt so full of yourself that nothing could ruin your day? Nothing and no one.
Yes, I have.
And what did you notice about your posture and your body, like the way you held yourself in those moments?
I feel like I stood really tall,
Yeah.
I think about most recently a networking event that I went to, and I'm an introvert through and through. And so sometimes there's a little pep talk I got to give myself, but I also knew I looked good and I knew I had so much to offer. And I also had a plan for what I wanted this moment to bring to me, right? What I knew my intentions. And so I remember walking into the room, and instead of doing my usual, find a corner, sit, be quiet, I started chatting it up with people around me and just like initiating, hey, how are you doing? And then before I knew it, I felt like people were coming to me, and it was just,
Yeah. And that's how I experienced you. We were at an event, a conference, and I saw you. I could feel like this lightness about you. It wasn't just that you were smiling with fear, but even your eyes, like everything about you was beaming, which made me feel comfortable even approaching you because you had a welcoming spirit. Your energy says, I'm available. I'm a resource. I am powerful, right? Which it kind of drew me to you.
I appreciate that because for everybody listening, you all know this has been a work in progress. We've been on this journey of building confidence. And I truly believe, to your point, like it comes from doing the thing, choosing to live based off of what we really desire for ourselves and not letting fear write the story of our lives.
Oh, talk about write the story. And really, I just want to go back for a second because what I heard you say, and I'm paraphrasing, you mentioned that you're an introvert.
Yeah.
But I heard that you had a specific intention, which goes back to what we were talking about. You knew what you desired.
Yes.
And so you came there with a specific intention. You knew within here what you desired to experience, and you made a choice to step towards it.
Yeah. And I think that is part of being well-resourced. I think when we come into a space and we're not sure what we want and, we're just hoping that something good happens, it's a lot harder to proceed and push through the feelings and the fear. But part of the resource is being clear. It starts with clarity of what do I want out of this space? Because then we can get to what do I need to do? What's the work, right? But that's part of the resource is clarity, I believe.
Yeah. And taking ownership of it once you clear, right? Because as long as we stay in the, I don't know, I'm not sure, and I've been there, right? You know what that also means? I'm going to stay stuck. I'm going to stay stuck in what I don't want as long as I'm sitting on the fence of uncertainty.
Ooh. Listen, hold on. Break that one down. Hold on.
Look, sometimes things come out of my mouth I didn't even know I was going to say. So let me think, what did I just say? Oh, basically, it's about choice, right? There's something around making a decision. And so when we're pretending, because that's what it is, we believe we don't know, but really we're pretending not to know what is already known. And that is because once we speak it, once we stand in it, then we are expected to be responsible for it. And that's a scary place to be.
Wow.
So we pretend, like we feign confusion and pretend not to know, and that keeps us stuck. But when we make a decision, then we get to step into a space where life starts to organically unfold for us. We didn't even have to force certain things to happen because we've made a choice and we've stood in the posture of that choice, whether conscious or unconscious. But once we really say yes to it, a real embodied yes, life starts to happen. Opportunities start to come. Communities start to form in ways that we hadn't even expected.
Wow. You said a really key word, because this is where we start to tussle here in this space is community. I feel like a lot of folks who find this space are really searching for their tribe, right? We've gone through a evolution process. We are coming to know ourselves again. We're not the same girl we were before. And so the things we used to vibe with, it just doesn't click anymore, right? Or maybe you've moved to a new city. And so you feel like you're starting from scratch. But how do you, that finding the tribe piece, finding your people, that's part of the freedom and joy. So how do you find that?
That's also about, you mentioned clarity earlier,
Yeah.
right? And I talked about desire. What is it you desire to experience? My clients hear me say this often.
Yeah.
What is the desire here? When you think about what I desire to experience, I don't think about the actual a specific person per se, unless I use some fictional character to give me a resource, right? Or give me an image or something. I tap into, how do I want to feel when I'm around these group of people?
Yeah.
One of the things that I want to feel is safe. Safe, not necessarily from physical harm, but emotionally and psychologically safe, that I am going to be accepted and embraced as I am in this space. Is my voice accessible and able to be amplified in a way where you don't have to agree, but you're at least willing to hear it?
Wow.
Am I willing to create space for you to show up as you? Are the things you're talking about things that interest me?
Yeah.
So like some of the things that I desire to experience is being in spaces where people are like, growth is a value of mine, right? And so people who have a growth mindset is intriguing to me.
Yeah.
It's sexy, right? It's real attractive. I'm drawn to it. People that are having conversations about what's not working, what won't work, what I'm tired of, all of these other things is not attractive.
It's draining. I feel myself getting tight just thinking about it.
Yeah, there we go. Your body is telling you, right? And it doesn't mean they don't have valid concerns. It's just that they are focused on what they don't want, what they haven't wanted, and what they no longer want to experience again. And as long as you're looking towards that, that's what you're going to bring in more of that. Whereas let's look at the opposite side of that. Okay, this hasn't worked. What did you want that outcome to be? That's speaking to the desire. Okay, where can I access that? Who do I know that has information about that, or know someone who has information about it? Now we're moving towards what it is we expect to experience. And you mentioned how your body responded to that, right? Our body is a powerful communicator.
Yes.
And it gives us clues all the time. And so there are many times that we're in a space and everything in our body is saying, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. We're finding ourselves looking at the clock. When is this meeting going to be? When is this event going to be? Or when is this, whatever that thing is? Because a part of us wants out. So what is it? So we now know what we want to escape from. The question is, what do we want to step into? Instead of that. So use that not as a complaint, but as information.
Yeah.
It's speaking to an unmet desire, an unmet need.
You know what I thought about is, one, the tenseness that came right there. I was like, when you started talking about people complaining. And I thought about how with psychological safety, it's something that we don't often have language for or have a lot of conversations around. But I believe, and I've seen in my own life, that has been a contributor of burnout for me. When I'm in spaces that I don't feel psychologically safe, but I feel, sometimes you're taught, if it's work, it's like, well, if you just go out there and find, have a life outside of work, you get that balance, then all of a sudden you'll be fine. Like you can just power through the difficult thing. But how does one know, man, I think it's actually time for me to leave. I don't think I can just tough it through.
That's a loaded question.
I know.
We won't get into it today. Powerful question, beautiful question. And it's kind of what we're experiencing now, right? We're hearing a lot of conversation, and it comes in many forms. But really, what you're speaking to is what we're experiencing with the current climate now, which is these like collective trauma
Mm.
and even a cultural trauma, if you will. So when we hear about things that are going away, our bodies, we no longer feel safe psychologically or physically in many ways, right? We're not sure who to trust. When we're in these spaces, again, is my voice, is there room for me to speak here? Is the seat really do we feel comfortable sitting and actually taking up space in the meeting?
Yes.
Versus sitting on edge because I don't know where this is going. And our body is telling us that the whole time, because many times we are really feeling like we're in survival mode. And I need to do whatever is necessary to just we're kind of in some ways sourcing what are our boundaries, how can I get out of here?
Yeah.
Where do I need to throw my guard up because I might need to fight? Oh, wait, what did she just say? All of these different things, right, are happening, and we're feeling it in our bodies, and we're responding in those ways. Like when we see people say, that's letting you know a boundary, something about this is not in agreement with my being.
Wow.
And so there's a physical response that we didn't even have to think of when we say, oh, wait a minute. Right? There may be times when we don't even it can feel so heavy that we don't have access to our language. So words won't even come. Because that part of our brain, we're in such overwhelm at that point. Our senses are so overwhelmed. That part of our brain just shut down. We can't even verbalize how we want to respond to what we're experiencing. And that's the time to really check in with ourselves and use our environments and our senses to support us.
Wow.
And no one even has to know that that's what's happening. You can be in a meeting and actually do it. And it can be as simple as this. One, stop. In your own being, just stop. And tune into your senses around you. Check out, what are you noticing? If you're feeling like you want a way out, scan the room. Look for a door or a window. It gives you a physical reminder or image that you have a path out, a path forward. Tapping into the floor, pressing your feet to the floor to bring yourself here and ground yourself and anchor yourself in. You can have right now you can't see my hands, but I'm pressing them into my thighs. That can help to bring you, get you back here so that you can make a decision that's going to be in service of you. Right? It reminds you that I am here. You can even do something like the 5-finger breathing, where you can trace your hand. I'm going to show it here, but you can do it on your lap or something, where you're breathing in as you go out, breathing out as you come down. These are things that you have access to help to bring you to the present so that you can make a choice that's going to be in service of you and feel nourished. So noticing where there are exits, finding something to focus on in the room. Even if someone is speaking and you're in a Zoom call or something and you don't want them to know you've checked out, look ahead, find out what's something you can focus on ahead of you, where you can just look at the color, the texture, just to bring yourself back in. Listening for sounds. What's really happening? Sounds that can support you, whether it's a car down the street, birds chirping, music far away, the air conditioner, but tuning into something for a good 5 to 10 seconds helps to bring you present so that you can become a well-resourced you. Yeah. If you have a pen in your hand, feeling the texture. No one even knows. It just looks like normal behavior, but you're really like, grip the pen, release it, grip, release, grip, release. There's so many different ways to get yourself back to your own sense of safety.
I love how accessible that is. Because we need to be able to feel empowered, to be able to feel safe wherever we are. And so I love that those are things that we can do anywhere we are. Last time we talked, you told me about the lotion thing, and I've been doing that where it's like, I usually just put it on, don't even think about it. All right, and I'm moisturized, I'm gonna go about my day. But I was like, you know what? When I'm like in spaces, where it may take a little extra energy to be present there, let me just slowly do this process. Feel the lotion on my hand, smell the scent that's in there, and just like use that as a moment to like be present, ground myself, and show myself love and nourishment, because not every environment is nourishing, and that doesn't mean we should be deprived of a thing that we actually need.
No, there you go, deprived. There's so many times that we're choosing self-deprivation and we don't even realize it. And so these are those simple ways you can do it. And you can even start your day that way.
Wow.
Like we talked about the lotion and being an appreciation of it, right? What we appreciate appreciates. So even when we're in the shower in the morning, as we're lathering up, actually feel the lather on your skin. Tap into the aromatic sensations of that shower gel, right? Or bubble bath. And give thanks to your body for being here to support you. Like the fact that I can stroke my arm, I can be in gratitude about that. Thank you, arm, for being able to, right? And I want to throw in one other thing too. There are other ways to tap into our resources. Like if you're at an event or something and you need to be resourced, go to the ladies' room.
Yeah.
When you're in the stall, do a power stance, the Wonder Woman stance. Yes. Those things, like it literally can shift your confidence, right? Give yourself a warm embrace, a self-hug if you need that, right?
Yeah.
And even some type of, like a butterfly tap while you're in there. No one even knows, but you're taking care of yourself.
Yes.
Self-care, being resourced and nourished with just a few moments. Right. Yeah.
I love that it's not when you get home, then you can have your you time, then you can be poured into, then you can be nourished. And it's wherever you are, you deserve to be well cared for, and you can actually gift that to yourself in that moment.
Absolutely. It's those micro moments that make the difference.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, and I don't know about your listeners, but I grew up hearing the song "One Day at a Time," sweet Jesus, right? And the truth is, and I get it, but the thing is, we don't get one day at a time. We get one moment at a time. That's all we are in control of, is this moment right here. Yeah. The moments we had at the beginning of this conversation is already our past. I can't control what we've already said or what we've already experienced together. I have this moment. You have this moment. And so we get to leverage those moments and have micro moments of nourishment, micro moments of ease, micro moments of joy, micro moments of peace, right? And sometimes frustration does come. Give yourself that moment of frustration. But there are 3 ways we can move energy. One is through breath. One is through sound, right? We talked about sound. We listen to music to put us in a mood. We use our voices. So one of the sounds could be, and the other one is movement. So this one is sound and movement together. Is
Yeah.
We got that sound, we got that movement, but that tense and release helps to shift that energy so that we can be resourceful, so that language can come back online. And now we're ready to have the conversation, have that courageous conversation we needed to have with whomever that is.
Why did I just have that image of like somebody turn the video off and the sound off on Zoom and just go, nah! And then like, okay, so back to the...
Absolutely. Even if in our mind, so let's just say you're somewhere and you don't want to disturb people, we can have a silent screen, right? So you can just go and then come back. Yeah. So as I was saying, yeah. And the other thing too is remembering to celebrate the small wins.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm going to take care of myself when I get home, but I'm also going to take care of myself right now. And then I'm going to celebrate that I did that for me. Yes, I did that. Yes, I loved on me a little bit differently today. That was really, talking about fierce love. How radical was that I took that moment for me? Yeah, celebrating that.
I gotta know, what are your favorite ways to celebrate?
Okay, so this may be surprising to those who don't know me, but skipping.
I love it.
I believe it is impossible. And for all of you who are listening, listen, girl, try it and let me know how it works. I believe it's impossible to skip and stay angry. I have had one of my clients laugh when I said that, and then I said, I dare you to try it, right? And so she did. She got a kick out of it. And one of my favorite stories is her calling me to tell me that she went home and she and her 16-year-old son went skipping around the house, and how he looked at her like she was crazy at first, but how they got the best laugh, and then that led to a whole day of fun. Well, one of my ways to celebrate is skipping. Sharing it with someone I know who would empathize with my joy. Right? Because we often think about empathizing with someone's pain or sorrow.
Wow.
Well, who are the people that actually connect with your joy and genuinely celebrate with you? So one of my friends, we send each other voice memos throughout the day for small wins, big wins, all wins. Sharing it with my husband, different people in my family, but sharing it with your community, going back to that community. Who are the people that genuinely will celebrate with you? Versus the ones that, and when you recognize that someone doesn't, then use that as information to know that that's not their role in your life. Right? So when you're excited about something, somebody, you share it and they say, oh yeah, that's nice. Then maybe they're going through something at that time themselves, or maybe they're not your person for that moment. That may not be their assignment in your life. They may serve another thing in your life. They may be your fun girl or your fun person. That's who you go out and have adventures with. That's who you dance with. All of those things. But yeah, I give my own applause, I skip, and I share it with someone that I know. And another friend of mine, we do dance parties. We'll do on FaceTime.
I love it.
We do a 5-minute, pick a song, and we dance. Yeah.
My heart is so full, and I'm just, the big feeling that I have right now is gratitude. I just remember starting this journey 4 years ago and being on a quest to find, other people and community. And it's like, every time I get to have these conversations, with friends like you, it's like, man, look how abundantly blessed life is right now, because whatever you're feeling right now, this is not as good as it gets. And I stayed in seasons longer than I needed to because I thought that's as good as it got. And I hope that as you're listening today, you you're affirmed that there is more. There is yet more for you than you can even imagine. And so I don't like to say my friends are better than yours. I like to say my friends can be your friends too. And so how can people stay connected with you, Melanie? Because I know they all want to be your friend right now.
Yeah. So one of the things is we were just talking about joy.
Yeah.
And so they can get I have a gift for them, like how to consciously choose joy.
Yeah.
And so that's one way. And it is BIT, like B as in boy, IT as in Tom, .ly/CC Joy. Or if you really want to explore ways that you can actually tap into your joy or find more moments of ease and you're not sure about, what that looks like for you, let's play. Let's have a conversation through play, and they can schedule a totally complimentary call. My words got tied. I got excited. I got excited about being able to connect with them and play with the possibilities. So much so that my tongue went. And so they could connect with me there. And that is bit.ly, again, that same beginning, /InHerJoy, all lowercase.
Oh, I love it. Definitely check out the downloading the Joy. It's a Joy planner, or what is it? Journal?
It's a journal. And when you get it, look, I'm going to be adding to it. So I'm going to add a meditation to it later. So if you get that, look out for something else that's going to come with some more yummy goodness.
We love a bonus, okay?
You know what, Victoria? I am grateful too. I am grateful for the moment that you trusted yourself. I remember being somewhere and I put out a call on something and inviting people to join me for something, and you joined me for that experience to spend time together. That was my first time really getting to meet you. And then me being from the same area that you live in, me being in town and just following a yearning to reach out, and we connected and had the best time. And now we're here. And I just feel incredibly grateful for you and incredibly grateful for the times you said yes to me. And I'm gonna pat myself on the back for being grateful for the times that I said yes to me by following the yearning to reach out.
Yeah. If y'all are not encouraged to do the thing that's gonna cause you to step outside your comfort zone, I don't know, because I feel like that's what what the seed that's been planted today is, that we are being called to step outside our comfort zone, because oftentimes the thing that we are desiring is well within our reach.
So within your reach. Yeah.
Well, this has been another great catch-up call, y'all. And as a reminder, you are not alone. We are all just figuring this thing called life out together, one day at a time, one choice at a time, one moment at a time. And I am here for you. Until next time, bye.